Welcome back to the Tracy Take, and today we will be reviewing the Week 10 monumental matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Chargers. But before we get into that, make sure that you subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Hit that notification bell so you can see when we create new content. Like this video, comment on this video, and let us know your thoughts on the game. And Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
This was a huge game, and that we even broke down before we previewed this game going into it. This was a huge game for both teams. Chargers,
Oh yeah,
still have control of their destiny, but for the Vikings, this was an even bigger game, and they came out on top, winning at 27-20. Great game all around. Kirk Cousins, 25 for 37, 294 yards and 2 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson with an absolute game, 9 catches, 143 yards, and some huge catches down the end of the fourth quarter to help kill the clock, keep the Vikings with the ball, so then they didn't give the ball back to the Chargers. What is your overall take on just the kind of how this game went and also the outcome of the game and where this puts both teams?
yeah. Well, first of all, it was a great game to watch, and we've kind of been talking about the Minnesota Vikings in this way all year, but they've just been extremely unlucky in one possession games.
Yep.
And this one just went in their favor. And their offense is extremely balanced. They have a very solid run game led by Dalvin Cook and a pretty good offensive line. And then in the pass game, they have Justin Jefferson, who is just an absolute monster. In today's game, he had 9 catches for 143 yards, which is just unbelievable. And then Adam Thielen is a fantastic target. I know he's getting a little up there in years, but as a number 2 wide receiver, doesn't get a whole lot better. Then after that, I think their defense is playing well. They ended up having one interception. It doesn't look like any fumble recoveries or anything like that, but
No.
2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. So I just think it was a really solid performance by the Minnesota Vikings, and I don't think the Chargers have anything to really hang their head at. I just think they lost to the better team today. Justin Herbert didn't have a fantastic day, but yeah.
Well, and that's what, the one thing you mentioned it. The Vikings defense really had a day, only holding, if my math is correct. Well, I guess I can look it up, but holding the Los Angeles offense to less than 300 yards, I believe around 280, and actually 277, I think. That was a great performance on their part, because we know how explosive this Los Angeles Chargers offense can be, but we've seen this coming from them. They have had good games from the Vikings, and honestly, going to be this might be the kickstart to a lot of a big push, a big playoff push coming from the Vikings, because their schedule isn't the most daunting. They do still have to play the Packers twice, which can be a good thing, because I think that they can actually beat the Packers. I think they can contend with them. It's going to be some fun matchups watching Justin Jefferson going up against that Green Bay secondary. But they play the Lions, they play the 49ers, they play the Bears twice. Those are all winnable games, and to make the NFC playoff, and the Steelers, and Ben Roethlisberger was out with COVID, but that offense still has been shaky, kind of moving forward. They might be able to outscore them at best, yeah. So this could be, I would say, the beginning of a good playoff push for the Vikings, because I've thought this for a long time, especially since the beginning of the season. I feel like they are that number 6 team. I think they're going to slot into the 6th seed, and they need wins like today to happen and to continue to keep happening.
Yeah, no, I mean this team. So if we go back and look at their schedule, they lost in overtime to the Cardinals. They lost by a last-second field goal to the Bengals the first 2 weeks of the season. They held the Browns to 14 points and ended up losing just because the Browns' defense was so good. And then they lost to the Cowboys. I believe they only lost by 4 points, but I believe they were up 16-13 and then and then
Yeah,
lost.
I think so.
And then
Yeah,
they lost to the Ravens last week in overtime.
yeah.
So so as a 23-year-old who's been watching football for about 20 years, I don't know if I've ever seen a team lose this many games in overtime or like final possession. Like
mhm.
it's just some of it is their own doing, but some of it is just extremely unfortunate. So I mean, this team is going to make a late playoff push.
Oh yeah,
Actually, I'm going to
100%.
come out and say the Minnesota Vikings will make the playoffs in 2021. They will.
Yeah,
They'll do it.
and I think that's kind of where we wanted, like, kind of this video to go, because when I look at it, like the Chargers, they're in control of their destiny. We're recording this right now during Sunday Night Football, and so they still had to play the Raiders again. They had to play the Chiefs again. Like they can still win these games. They can still win the division or make the wild card. The AFC is so crazy.
Yeah.
With the Vikings, though, with this game, it was so crucial because really outside the top 5 teams, and you know which 5 teams those are, the NFC sucks. Like the Saints right now are the number 6 seed at 5-4. Carolina is the 7th seed at 5-5. Atlanta is still technically in the playoff picture, which is ridiculous. Yeah, Philadelphia, that's 4-6, and then and they're right now they're 10th overall. Then you have the 49ers, who play tomorrow night against the Rams. Not expecting them to win that game, might go to 3-6. So you look at these teams, like when you just think of those teams, Ryan. Like when I think of those, like I don't even think of those teams as anywhere near potential playoff teams. Maybe the Saints.
No.
I mean, I think the Saints might fall in that spot. But with Trevor Siemian, though, he's even with Jameis Winston can still provide you some dual quarterback athleticism. Trevor, you don't get that with Trevor Siemian. The Panthers.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go into the Cam Newton hype. We don't even know where that's going. They benefited today, I think, from not playing. They playing a Cardinals team with no Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. Christian McCaffrey did come back, so that could be huge for that team moving forward. So that might be a benefactor. But yeah, with the Vikings though, and with the schedule that they have, I can see them winning five more games, getting to that 9-8 spot.
Oh yeah,
and the more and more these NFC teams lose, the more and more I think 9-8 is going to do it. I think 9-8 is going to get you there.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things too in the NFC is the teams keep knocking each other down. So, like New Orleans and Tampa Bay and teams like that, like these, like Tampa Bay could lose 3 more games this year. New Orleans could lose 4 more games this year. Like you just never know like what's going to happen in that bubble territory. And I think the Minnesota Vikings have a very favorable schedule. I think their defense is starting to play pretty good football. Their offense has been playing pretty good football. And I just think they probably will hit the time it well hit the upslope while everybody else is kind of coming down. So I think the rest of the season looks very promising for the Minnesota Vikings. Sorry, my screen keeps going in and out.
No, you're good.
But I mean, I kind of want them to do it. If I'm a playoff team, if I'm the Buccaneers, or if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, who have hit a little bit of a rough patch, I don't want to play the Minnesota Vikings. I think that they are a legit
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Contender. So, I mean, we'll have to see how the rest of it shakes out.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. My final thought, really, as I said, I think they're the number 6 team, and if you look at the other teams that are in the playoff hunt outside of those top 5 NFC teams, you're like, do you really think that that they can beat the Vikings on a consistent basis? Like, I really don't think that they can with all the offensive firepower, and this defense is really starting to pick up. I think that I think it's their playoff spots to lose either 6 or 7. Personally, I think that they're the best of the remaining teams outside of those top 5. Outside of those top 5 NFC teams, obviously.
Yeah, and I think New Orleans, they lost today to Tennessee, but I think they're going to have a really rough time without Jameis Winston. I know they still have Taysom Hill back there, but that's not easy. And so the Eagles are no joke. Well, a little bit of a joke, but that could be a tough game for the Saints coming up next. And then they play the Bills, Cowboys. They go to the Jets, but then they have to go to Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. And then they finish out the season with 2 division games versus the Panthers and at the Falcons, and they already lost to the Falcons once. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 games, in my opinion, that I think the Saints lose.
Mm-hmm.
At least. So,
yeah.
I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out. The NFC is a completely different landscape than the AFC.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, I don't have any more to add. Do you?
No, nothing on my end.
Okay, all right. Well, then that's going to do it for this episode of the Tracy Take. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so we can send you a message every time we post a video, and leave a comment down below on what you think the Minnesota Vikings record is going to be at the end of the season and if they're going to make the playoffs. And we will see you guys next time.